Hello, my name is Brittany Graves. I am from Osceola County, Florida, and I am invested in this bill and partners in policymaking because of my beautiful daughter, Lily, who has an extra special chromosome, also known as Down syndrome. The numbers of children needing special education are dramatically rising each year. Currently, there are not enough teachers to properly teach them. This leaves teachers ill-equipped and ultimately the student suffers. Young children are being placed in self-contained, segregated classrooms by a diagnosis because a general education teacher is not able to accommodate the supports or modifications needed. Our educators need to be properly taught how to plan, implement, and meet the learning needs of every student, regardless of their different ability. We have a solution to this growing problem. We propose a bill requiring all teachers to have an exceptional student education endorsement. This endorsement would be closely modeled after the English for Speakers of Other Languages or ESOL endorsement. This will help teachers be prepared to teach all children. By having every teacher trained, more children can stay in class with their typical peers and have true inclusion. The different methods used to teach kids in ESE will benefit all kids because they'll be taught different teaching styles. Also, this endorsement will increase jobs for employers to create programs to implement into colleges and continuing education programs. Each and every student with different abilities has the right, per the law, IDEA, to free, appropriate public education. This means students should have the opportunity to learn with and from their peers, even if they do things differently. If this bill is not passed, it will be very difficult to uphold the law. As the numbers of those in special education continue to rise, there will not be qualified teachers to educate them. In turn, this may result in lawsuits, which far outweigh the cost of making the requirement of the ESE endorsement. Besides the cost factor, it is the right thing to do for our children who need a little extra support to succeed. Next, you will hear from two self-advocates who will share examples of having a teacher who brought her down and another who helped support her. Thank you.
My name is Laura Drake, and I'm a self advocate, and I live in Martin County, Florida, and I'm a member in the PIP program. If there was one teacher in high school that did not want me to pass this class, it'd have to be Miss Berriman. In my experience, she was not a very good math teacher to me. Math is one of my biggest weaknesses, and it has been a huge problem for me. So, for my final math class, my mom decided to put me in math college readiness, which was sort of like remedial math, um, all over again, and it would help me with remembering and help me understand math. When I first started with the class, I was doing fine. But when it came to time for a big test or quiz, which was 30 to 15 questions on each test, which I would struggle, like I said, math is my biggest weakness. Because I felt she didn't follow my IEP and she did not meet my needs. Because one of my accommodations was to read me the test or quiz. And I felt infuriated that she did not follow my accommodations. But I felt like the teacher would treat me just like the rest of the students. She would like she would treat me like the rest of the students, um, like when she read me the accommodations, which I felt mad that she did not. And I felt depressed. It was pretty disappointing because at points she wouldn't read me the test or quiz questions, or even provide extra support for me. Her ways of teaching were just examples and watching me do them, than just helping me or breaking it down for me. When literally she should help me fill in those missing pieces. Because as my IEP stated, it was to read me the test or quiz. It was infuriating that at points she did not help me or read the test questions to me. At points, and I would always end up failing. So I felt disappointed that she did not know how to help me with the work or give an example of a math problem being solved or read the test to me. I would have told her, but then I would get in trouble by saying this, and I was scared to say it to her face. You're the teacher. You should be helping me, along with the others, and reading the tests to me, because it is in my accommodations, because I don't want to fail because of not because of you not meeting my expectations that were in place with my IEP. So in saying that, I felt disappointed that she was not doing her job as a teacher. In conclusion, I feel that these new teachers coming into the school district should be trained to help and deal with kids with disabilities. So that way they don't come face to face with an angry or unhappy parent that they don't know how to deal with kids with disabilities. In the end, I did pass the class with a C and I graduated. Thank you.
My name is Sarah, and I'm from Highlands County. Mrs. Hawthorne was my favorite teacher in high school because she cared about teaching and trying to teach. I learned how to look up my ideas or answers on daily comprehension reading worksheets. I learned that special diploma helps students get jobs, but not college. I needed to get GED in order to go to college, but college was not for everyone, she said. Thanks to Mrs. Hawthorne, I made a commitment to get my GED so I could go to college. I would take double periods of her class so I would learn more than sitting in class doing nothing. I got my schoolwork done in her class by staying for 2 periods. In her reading and language, we did journals. She would write topic on the board. We had to write 5 sentences or more every day. What I like about journals, it got me thinking, like my future, what I thought about the world and nature. She retired, then came back in my senior year. It was math class. I finally was able to learn some things in math class that I didn't learn from other teachers, such as word problems, fractions, and division. In her classes, we did word problems on the board and reading and language. It was sentence we had to copy and figure out what was wrong with it. Then we do sentence together with whole class as Ms. Hawthorne explains how it should be. In math class, we did drops in the bucket. That means feeding your brain a little bit at a time, such as fraction, word problems, addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication before our assignments. She also did word problem on the board, and we had to figure out which math skill it was. We did together as class, as Ms. Hawthorne explained. I was a visual learner, so it helped because Ms. Hawthorne was a caring teacher and always helped her students learn with patience. I learned over time. I learned more with people who take time to teach, even though it is rare. After I got to know Mrs. Hawthorne, not only she was teaching for years, she had husband and son, both had learning disability. I think with her experiences and passion that she is why was a good teacher. Even though she warned me getting GED would be difficult, I was inspired by doing my own schoolwork and realized there were other ways to learn, and I don't have to give up because I don't understand it. I can find another way to understand it or by raising my hand. I found with reading daily comprehension sheets, letters were bigger. I processed better with bigger letters. So later in my college years, I used bigger letters to read books by Kurzweil 3000 that I found on college website that I was interested and learned about Bookshare when I talked with a speech therapist who helped me with Alpha Smart in high school. Ever since I learned Bookshare, I enjoyed reading more. I have my professors make text bigger on my tests now. I just pay attention to my score in her classes, not students. They normally ignore me. If students knew if there was a way all students with different abilities can be liked and learned, it would be a better world if it was just focused on abilities. Thank you.
My name is Christina Cordova. I am from Hernando County, and I am part of the Florida Partners in Policymaking program. Because of my daughter, Emily, here you see she's diagnosed with cerebral palsy, Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, and a number of other disabilities, and she's currently spending less than 20% of her day with her peers because most of our general education teachers are not equipped or educated in knowing how to teach, support, and provide for children with varying disabilities. This needs to change. The current trend in education is teachers are leaving their field of study, or universities are threatening to close their education departments for the lack of students enrolled in such programs. This in part is due to the lack of knowledge in which to meet the rise of varying learners one is given within a classroom. 14% of the student population in the state of Florida has a disability. Of approximately 30 students, out of those 30 students, at least 4 are labeled with a disability or have the potential to have a disability. Some of these students, unfortunately, are falling through the cracks. Some are isolated from their peers by being placed in self-contained classrooms, and some are not receiving the services they so direly need to achieve and succeed. Creating inclusive learning opportunities benefits everyone involved. I ask you to think of your early education. Did you have the opportunity to interact, befriend, or learn from a peer with a disability? I would assume most of your time in your education, you did not have those opportunities. And in turn, when you entered adulthood, your first encounter awkward, uneasy, and perhaps unsettling. You lacked the experiences, positive interactions, and learning opportunities to work together, problem solve, and to accept differences. In the workforce, we do not have the option to choose who we work with or for. We have to learn to do our job to our best ability and to work with those around us. If we were to learn these lessons from an early age, inclusion would be like second nature, and the biases and prejudices that develop in our adult years would subside greatly. By requiring future and current teachers to be endorsed in exceptional student education techniques, strategies, curricula, and best practices, we are setting every student and every teacher up for success. The population of students with disabilities will continue to rise, and we need to ensure that our education system and educators are equipped and ready to educate effectively, appropriately, and proactively by intervening with these learned practices. We ask that you consider putting the proper legislation in place to ensure that our future students and teachers succeed inclusively. Thank you so much for your time and your consideration.